Good morning, Gilbert. We officially start at 9, so I'm going to wait for some people to come in, then we shall start.
Okay, let me wait for 9, I think, of the meeting.
All right.
Your faithfulness, you to me, is from the rising sun to the set. Your great is your faithfulness, you to me. Oh, you're so faithful. Oh, you're faithful, Jesus. Faithful to the end.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you have had a wonderful morning, or you had a wonderful night and you're having a wonderful morning. You are most welcome again for the Young Leaders webinar series. Last week we had Dr. Pofia. I don't know how many of you were around, but we had a very wonderful time. And today we are going to have a wonderful time also. I'm sure about that. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about nurturing relationships in leadership. From as you saw from the flyer, we're going to talk about nurturing relationships in leadership. And our speaker is already here. Our speaker for the day is called Dr. Kalievara. But as we start, I'd like you to take a moment and just send a link, send someone else you know, so that we can have many more people benefiting from this wonderful topic. Because as you know, as leaders, we all face different challenges. And sometimes you can think that you are having such a big problem when there are so many people who are experiencing it, and the solution is usually very simple. Like someone else already has the solution. So if we can invite our people, I'm going to just give you 3 minutes to invite your people, to invite your friends, and then we shall start in 3 minutes. I request for the music to come back again until 9:10. Then we start. In the meantime, if you can switch on your video and just say hello for the next 2 minutes as we wait for a few more people to come in.
Hello, good morning. Deborah. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Anyone else who can say hello in the last one?
Hello.
Hello, how are you? We're going to start shortly, yes?
I'm Bate Jean Paul. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean Paul.
Hello, my name is Gilbert Abumugisha. I'm also happy to be part of this platform right now.
We are happy to have you too.
Yes, hello, my name is Philimin. Thank you. I've been able to join today. I hope to learn more. I also to Jago. I'm also in the field, up country. So where I can, I'll be able to follow through. Thank you.
Thank you too. Yes. So it is now 10 minutes past 9. Sorry, let me put on my video. It is now 10 minutes past 9, and as leaders, time management is a core value. So the others will join us as we go along, but we are going to start. So good morning once again. My name is Esther Nadunga, and I am from the leadership. I'm from the Institute for National Transformation, and we organize we train leaders, and also we mentor leaders, young leaders, so that we can have a better Uganda, because we believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. So our topic today is nurturing good relationships as a leader. And our speaker is Dr. Nicholas Kaliebara. Now, Dr. Nicholas, I'd like to introduce him. Dr. Nicholas is a doctor of leadership studies from Lancaster Bible College in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He has a Master of Arts in Intercultural Studies from Wheaton College in the USA, a postgraduate diploma in Development Studies from Barra University, and a Bachelor of Arts with Education from Makerere University in Kampala. I hope all of you are inspired already by his academic background. He is a program professional with over 18 years of career experience in nonprofit organizations. He has worked in student development, children and youth development, program leadership, grants management, partnership management. He has worked for Compassion International Uganda, Uganda Field Office, and he has served in various roles in Compassion, including field-based partnership facilitator, leadership development program team lead, senior partner facilitator, and he currently serves as the manager of program support, overseeing Compassion's Uganda programming support functions of child and youth development, refugee assistance, and complementary interventions. He also serves as an elder at Deliverance Church, Makerere Hill, and is a spiritual formation leader at Compassion International Uganda. He's a member of the board of directors for Global Link Africa and Stars Ministries Uganda. He is married to Sylvia K. Kaliebara since 2006, and they have 3 children, Athaire, Arjuna, and Asimwe. He loves to read, he loves a good movie, distance running, and loves to build people and organization. He has a passion for leaders and business of leadership. He's active in helping young leaders emerge and seasoned leaders thrive. And we are blessed to have him today. I'd like to encourage you all to just put your hands together and welcome Mr. Kaliebara, Dr. Kaliebara. Doctor, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Miss Nadunga. I'll call you Esther throughout the call. I hope that's okay.
Very okay. Very okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the very kind words. This morning I'm hiding in my car. It's the quiet place around home right now. Otherwise, there's chaos in other places. Yeah, I hope there's no feedback, and I hope that we will have a good time. I'm happy to be here. It's an honor for me to be speaking to leaders, leaders of today and also leaders tomorrow. It's an honor for me to make a contribution. As Esther said, this is something that I am passionate about. I really love helping young leaders emerge, and God has been faithful to me to give me opportunities to be able to do that, and this is one of them this morning. Okay, allow me share my screen and we get into our business for today. Great. Are you able to see my screen very well? You can give me a thumbs up.
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's good. Our topic has been introduced already, so I won't waste a lot of time on that. But I wanted to share my objectives for this session. Normally when I speak to young people and I mention relationships, the first thing that comes to mind is boy-girl relationships. So I wanted to be clear from the start that is not what I am talking about.
Mr. Kaliabara, I think you're frozen. Maybe you could log out and log in again. Yes, I think his internet was disconnected a bit, but he's coming back. In the meantime, you could share your views in the chat of what you think, how relationships are important in leadership. Can share your view in the chat as he comes on. All right, I'm going to call you out. For example, what is your view of relationships in leadership? Could unmute and tell us, yes?
Morning, everyone.
Good
Hope
morning.
you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Yes. So my view of relationships, I believe relationships are very key in leadership, because leadership is about influence, the ability to influence others and their vision. And so when you have a good relationship with those with whom you are leading, it becomes much easier to influence them and to get them to come together. And so that is why it's very important for leaders to have a very good relationship with those that they are leading. Yes, that's what I can say.
Good morning, everyone. I have something to say about relationships in leadership. According to my view, I
I'm
think
sorry.
good relationships in...
Hello?
Yes, hello?
I'm sorry, my network had issues.
It's okay. You can resume it. Deborah was telling us about relationships in leadership, but you can resume. I think she had stopped.
Okay, could you please enable screen sharing? I'm not able to. Says host has disabled.
Okay, let me come. I've enabled.
Okay. Great. All right. So please allow me to keep my video off. I hope it can help the network issues.
I think it's okay.
Yes, but track with me. Just keep me informed if I am off or something like that, so that I don't keep speaking to myself. Sorry about that break. Okay, so let me resume from where I stopped. I was talking about the objectives, but wait a minute. Someone was sharing something before I came in. Have they finished?
Doreen,
Hello?
had you finished?
I think it is in order for them to finish their thought before I can resume.
Deborah, had you finished?
Not yet. I had not yet finished. The network
Please
problem.
finish.
Okay. I was telling you about my view about good relationships in leadership. What I think about good relationships in leadership is all about how you connect with the people that you're leading with, how you're able to share with them. Do they understand you? Do you understand them? Like the connection that you have with the people that you're leading. For example, if you're a leader, you're supposed to be able to involve the people that you're leading, your followers, in decision making, and that is an example of, I think, a good relationship in leadership. How you connect with the people that you're leading. So that's what I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Nicholas.
Thank you, Esther, and thank you, Deborah, for that powerful thought. I agree with you 100%. Right, so those are my objectives. 2, I really want you to gain insight into your key relationships for leadership development and leadership success. Those are 2 different themes. There's leadership development, how you develop as a leader, but also how you succeed in the business of leading others or leading projects or whatever it is that you're leading. So I hope that you will gain insight into that. And then lastly, I'm hoping that you gain knowledge and skills for nurturing those key relationships. I did not want to assume. So the kind of relationships I'm talking about, the exchanges between individuals within social groups where they live, work, or grow. A social group really is any group that has more than one person. So if you have another person and there's 2 of you, that's a relationship happening there. And this happens in, families, places we live, the places we work, the schools, etc. We also know that people feel safest in the presence of familiar and nurturing members of their family and community. Family is obvious. A family is also a community, but a community, as we know, or if we don't know, is a place where people are. The key words in there is safety. So, and we also need to note that you can feel safe. It is possible to feel safe even in a relationship that may not be promoting your development or your success as a leader. So that's why we're talking about nurturing good. We are defining them as good relationships as a leader because we recognize that there can also be bad relationships for a leader. Great. I thought I should highlight 3 categories of relationships which you need to pay attention to. You can only nurture what you know. And so there are 3 categories. There are 3 categories that I need you to pay attention to. One of those categories is intrapersonal relationships. Keyword here is intra, which really is about relating with yourself or looking inside. Sometimes we don't pay attention to that, and yet the way you relate with yourself has a bearing on how well you will relate with others, and as a result, how well you will succeed, or how whether you will succeed or not. So it is important. It has to do with self-awareness. Do you know yourself? We'll talk more about that later on. Do you know yourself? Do you know how you react in a when you meet strangers, for instance? Do you know how you react in a crowd? How do you know how you behave if you're asked to speak to a big congregation? That talks about self-awareness, issues of self-confidence, stress management, decision-making. Deborah talked about decision-making when I was joining in. You know, so those are things to do with intrapersonal relationship, how well you relate with yourself. And as I read the scripture says in Proverbs, you know, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I believe a woman as well. It is speaking to the reality that if you think you can't handle, then it will play itself out. You will actually not handle. And that has to do with the way you relate with yourself. So that's a category of relationship that I need you to pay attention to, because that is something you must nurture as we talk about nurturing good relationships. Okay, the second category is interpersonal. And I think this is where we were dwelling most of the time, which is really about relating with others, relating well to people from varied backgrounds or situations. We don't automatically relate well with everyone. It is something that we have to grow into. If I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a village boy, so I grew up most of the time in the village. So when I came to the city for the first time, I think I came to the city for the first time in my senior fall vacation. I mentioned city. Okay, today we have many cities, but back in the day there was only one city, Kampala. So, so later on, 2 years later, when I came to the university, I had to learn how to relate to people from different parts of the country, but also relate with people from the city, because they had experiences that I didn't have, and I was getting those experiences for the first time. And we have to learn those things. Showing understanding. Do you understand? Do you have courtesy or tact? Tact has to do with choices of what to do or what to say in a particular situation in a relationship environment, you know, where there's more than one person. Empathy. Are you able to place yourself in the feet of others? Because then that will help you to understand people and hopefully be able to lead them better. Empathy, a key aspect of, I will introduce to you another term, if it is new to you, emotional intelligence, later on as we go on with our discussion. But empathy is a big part of emotional intelligence. Concern. Do you have concern? So like I said, inter has to do with, you know, relating with others, and intra has to do with relating with oneself. How you relate with yourself. Who is involved in interpersonal relationships is 2 or more people. In intra, it's just you. When does this happen? Interpersonal relationships, when you want to communicate with others, literally when you're leading others, you know, but intra, when you want to plan, you know, when you want to get closer to yourself, especially when you want to be more aware of yourself, aware of your thoughts, aware of your feelings in a given environment, because all of those things impact how you lead. What kind of media or tools are used in the different types? Interpersonal, we use phones, we are using computers. We're actually having a relationship right now between you and I, you know. TV, in person, letters, and today we can add, you know, text messages and all the other things that we use where we write. For intra, it is our mind. And if you journal, then you have a diary, because in a diary, you're writing your reflections, you're processing your thoughts and documenting them, having a dialogue with yourself. You know, recording audio messages of yourself and listening to them later. That's intrapersonal relationship. What are they concerned with? Interpersonal is about exchange of ideas, mostly. Intra is about thoughts and analyzing. And I want to put it to you that to become effective leaders, we need to be good at both interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships. The last category, which you must nurture, is your relationship with God. And probably I should have begun with this, because this is foundational. This is the foundation of all good relationships, foundation of effective leadership, you know, both effective leadership development, but also effective leadership, you know. And the importance of this relationship for me is Proverbs 9, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For most of us, and especially young people, we know this scripture from school, and we only use it in reference to academics. But I want to let you know that it is more than that. It is for all of life. Everything that you will do, including leadership. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, or the beginning of your success as a leader. And knowing God, or the knowledge of the Holy, knowing God really is the foundation of all success, including leadership success. So those are important categories which we must nurture. The way we relate with ourselves, the way we relate with others, and the way we relate with God. All right. Good relationships are essential for leadership development. This can be a topic of its own, but our goal today is for you to be aware and gain insight. So what I need you to know is that, and for most of us here on this call, really we're on a journey of, and leadership development doesn't end, by the way, even for seasoned leaders. We are always growing and getting better. In fact, everyone gets better when a leader gets better. I think that's a quote from Craig Groeschel, one of as a pastor and a leadership teacher as well. Likes to say everyone gets better when the leader gets better. So which really means there is no end to leadership development. And so good relationships are essential for leadership development. To capture that thought, I have always loved this thought from a gentleman called Charlie Tremendous Jones. He's dead, he's long dead, but I went to class with with his daughter. But I had met the quote before I met the daughter. And he said, it's one of his popular quotes, 5 years from today, you will be the same person that you are today, except for two things: the books that you read and the people that you meet. I want to underline the people that you meet. Of course, sometimes we meet some people in books as well, and I would like to encourage you to read. You know, you can relate with people even though they are dead via their books. But key thing here is the people you meet, that is relationships. So the point that Charlie is making here is that the people that you meet, and by extension, those are the people that you relate with, have a huge bearing on who you will become, what kind of leader that you will become. So as you think about nurturing relationships, you need to think about what kind of people are you relating with? Are those the kind of people that are helping you develop as a leader? Are they helping you advance the vision of the leader that you want to become, or are they pulling you back? Because you can meet both. You can meet people who pull you back. You can meet people that will take you forward into your leadership destiny. So that is key. And these people are, of course, you will meet yourself. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? What kind of person? And that will take you to do a lot of intra-relationship, a lot of looking inside, a lot of self-assessment, getting to know who you are, your strength, your growth opportunities. And these days we have tools, we have many things that can help us be aware. You know, we have all kinds of personality tools. I'm sure as we continue in these webinars, some of these things will be talked about if you haven't interacted with them already. I am cautious. I've been told that sometimes we have 14-year-olds attending. So some of these things may be very new to them, but you will encounter them, and they help you to learn more about yourself so that you can have a good development plan. When you know yourself, then you can make the right investment. In fact, you can even choose the right people to relate with. Our parents are also, you know, leadership development specialists. In fact, parenting is leadership development 101, I would argue. You know, mentors, I hope you have mentors. If you don't have, that is something that you need to think about. And hopefully there will be a session on mentoring, you know, as well. How does it happen? Who qualifies as a good mentor? How do I relate with my mentor as a mentee? What do I do? So, and mentoring is a relationship. Internship, I'm told a good number of us requirement to complete your studies is do an internship. And internships give you opportunities to relate with many people in the various places that you will do your internship from. Our teachers, all of us, I would want to assume, are either students or have been involved in a learning exercise. And so we have, every time you are before a teacher, there's a relationship going on. So what kind of teachers are you meeting, and what do you want from them? One of the greatest influence on my life among the teachers I have made met was my high school headmaster. He never taught me subjects, you know, the subjects we do in schools. In fact, he tried once. He tried once in senior 5 to teach us geography, and as far as teaching geography was concerned, I think he was not very good. I didn't like his experience of teaching geography. But man, did he teach me life skills. You know, in those morning assemblies, the speeches that he gave, his own example. When it came to time management, he led by example. He was never late. I cannot remember a day when our headmaster was late. One of the greatest lessons I learned from him was in senior 5. I had a few personal challenges like most young people would have, and I had been asked to come with my parents, you know, come with my dad to school. And so that morning it rained. I hope you're still on call. In order to maintain the stability of the internet, I kept my video off. So I hope you're there. Please nod or say something.
Yes, we are there.
Oh, excellent. So I was telling you a story of how my teacher taught me life skills, including not using rain as an excuse. That lesson I learned from my headmaster. So that day I was late because it had rained. And in my mind, I was so convinced that, you know, they will understand that it rained and that's why I am late. And my headmaster would have none of that. In fact, I did not understand. And I thought it was obvious. That's no excuse. You should have got a banana leaf. He actually used those very words. You know, I was in the village, so we have bananas. So he said, no, you should have gotten a banana leaf and gotten here. In fact, I had tried because I was wet. I was dripping in his office. It was still raining when I got there. But I learned that lesson that day, that rain is not an excuse to be late. In fact, if you want to know, you try to be late because of rain when you have a plane to catch, then you will know that rain is not an excuse for anything. And since you are at INT, one of the core lessons they teach you is to be a no excuse leader. So teachers are people that you will relate with, and you will learn, in addition to geography and mathematics, you will learn leadership principles, like I just shared from the example from my high school teacher. Your pastors, your peers, you know, some of the greatest influences on my own life were my peers, especially at the university. I spent a lot of time in student leadership, and in those experiences, I was relating with my peers, fellow student leaders, some that were a year or two ahead of me, some that were in the same year and were leading together on committees, and they were great influence. So good relationships are essential for leadership development. That's intentional about the kinds of relationships that we have. Otherwise, 5 years from today, we will be the same person, or maybe even worse, if we are not intentional about the people that we are meeting. The other point I want to make is that good relationships are essential for leadership success. So notice that relationships are good for both your development, but also your success in the execution of your leadership task. So a key variable, a key aspect of leadership success is emotional intelligence, especially as we advance in leadership positions or leadership responsibilities, you know, you most likely will start out your career as a team member. But even as a team member, you lead. Just know that you lead. You have, I think it is Esther who mentioned earlier on in the beginning that, you know, everything raises and falls on leadership. So even as a team member, you are leading in that space where you are as a team member. But as you advance in your leadership, chances are very high that you will become the team leader. And the higher you go, then you become to lead leaders. And the higher you advance in your leadership, the more critical emotional intelligence becomes. Really, for you to understand emotional intelligence, you have to contrast it, to compare it with IQ, intelligence quotient, you know, the ability to learn, to excel. Those are nice, and we need them for leadership success as well, because they help you succeed in the technical aspects of your leadership. But emotional intelligence, in fact, even studies show, become more critical than even intelligence quotient or IQ. So emotional intelligence has to do with self-awareness. Do you know yourself? I talked about it earlier and I said I would continue later on. So do you know yourself? Do you know your personality type, for instance? And how does that affect how you lead? I'll tell you another interesting story about myself. When I was in first year at university, I became aware that I was talking too much. I'm an extrovert, and I talk quite a bit. I have no problem with words. And so in my first year at the university, I was now encountering a relationship. I was an active member of a mission group at that point. And so I found that I was talking too much. And I think it was rubbing some people wrongly. And it became a concern, and I didn't know what to do at that point. So I remember praying and asking God to help me to stop talking. But God didn't answer that prayer, because God had made me that way. You know, I needed, in order to lead, to be an effective, I needed the ability to talk. So what I needed that time was self-regulation, which I was not good at that point, which is another key aspect of emotional intelligence. So when you know yourself, then you will be able to learn how to regulate yourself. So over the years, I have learned a few things about myself, and I have learned to make choices on when to speak, how much to speak, what to speak, and even in contexts where I don't need to speak, and when to shut up. You know, of course, that doesn't come easily for a person who talks a lot. But when you are self-aware, then you can regulate yourself. And this aspect of nurturing relationships goes back to the first category I talked about, the one of intrapersonal relationship, of knowing yourself. You know, of knowing yourself. Of course, with emotional intelligence comes empathy. Empathy really is about stepping in someone else's shoes. And for you to lead better, you really need to be empathetic. Let me tell another brief story about empathy here. A story is told, I read this in a book, of a mother who was traveling on a plane with her children, and the children were being naughty on the plane. You know how everyone can be quiet and wanting their peace and their space on the plane. So the kids were being naughty, they were making noise, they were jumping around. And so, and mommy was not doing anything about it. Was not regulating the kids and was not doing anything. And so people got concerned, others got angry with the mother, angry with the kids, as you can imagine. And so eventually one courageous person asked the mother, please do something, you know, rain on the children. And then the mother responded and said, I'm sorry, even me, I don't know what to do. They have just lost their father. And of course, you can imagine everything's changed immediately. People understood, people became empathetic, and they were able to understand and probably find a way of helping the mother with the children who have just lost their father. Empathy is a key aspect of emotional intelligence, and you will not lead effectively. In fact, if you don't have it, it can be a breeding place for conflict in a team situation. Motivation, you know, the drive to do what you do. And I need to stop at some point. I'll try and stop at exactly 10 so that we can have a discussion, a moment of Q&A. So social skills really is putting all these things together: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and motivation, and then learning how to navigate the social environment. Like, for instance, making the choice on what to say, when to say, how to say it, that is a social skill. And it means that you have read, you are also social aware, you have read the environment and made the conclusion that if I speak in such a way in this situation, it is not going to achieve the results that I want. So then you decide on the alternatives. And all of that comes with emotional intelligence. I've spent a lot of time on this. It is a big subject. There are books, written books for your leadership development. It is one way to nurture your intrapersonal relationships. So pay attention to it. And the other aspect in leadership success is, of course, team dynamics. Team dynamics has to do with all the relationships and interaction between team members that can affect their productivity and performance. The way people connect in a team situation. If you have led a committee, you will notice that some people relate well with others. Some people are talkative like me. Some people are quiet and withdrawn. Some people are action-oriented. You know, give me the job and I do it. Other people are people-oriented. You know, they want to make everyone feel good and feel nice. And so as a leader, you have to understand, or you have to learn the dynamics of your team and how they affect how you perform and the results that you produce. And that also, you know, so that is essential for your leadership success. And relationships can help you learn, can help you grow, can help you increase productivity. You definitely have to develop relationships with members of your team. If you're leading a team or if you're a team member, you have to relate with everyone. Including relating with leaders that you may think are bad leaders. And I'm using that word carefully. You may think They may not necessarily be bad leaders. It may be that you are not understanding them. You have not. And so because you don't understand them, so you make a conclusion that they are bad. Or it may also be that you are growing in your leadership. So you have some self-awareness to achieve. And so and that can cause you not to understand your leader or even the people that you lead, if you are the leader. So that's important. Okay, so I think this is my last slide. Yes, this is it. This is my last slide. I know I have touched a bit on how to nurture, but I wanted to continue on that theme by sharing. This is a model from my research, my PhD research. My PhD research focused on the relational factors that contribute to leadership development among youth, and specifically, I studied leaders who had graduated from our compassion programs over the last 5 years, but who had spent most of their youth years in the program. And youth in compassion programs is anywhere between 12 years and 22 when they graduate from the program. And so I'm going to majorly talk about the first block, because that is those are the relationship enablers that I discovered, or those are the tools that you need to nurture relationships. The rest is really the process, as you can see. If you follow the arrow is leading somewhere. Maybe I could describe a bit of this and then come back to the enablers. So you can see that in the first block, there are things that enable relationships. And then the second block talks about the relationship process. In fact, I conclude that every relationship, by now we know what a relationship is. Really the interaction between either one person or more than one person, especially, and here I was talking about interpersonal relationships. So every relationship is a leadership development opportunity, whether it lasts a moment or a few hours. Like right now, we are having a relationship. You're having a relationship between me and you on the other side. And so we are in a relationship process right now. So that relationship process includes everything that happens in the youth's relationship, whether they be with parents, peers, pastors, teachers, you know, a caring adult is part of the relationship process. And it creates leadership development opportunities, including being invited to lead, or someone may decide to mentor you, someone may decide to coach you if you're relating with them. They may train you themselves, or they may invite you to a training opportunity. They may inspire you. They may become your role models. They can help you to become self-aware, you know, self-discovery that we talked about, which is an aspect of emotional intelligence. They can help to drive positivity where there is negativity. You know, they can motivate you to lead, or they can support your leadership endeavor. You know, when somebody you're relating with, excuse me, comes to you and says, Esther, I think you should run for guild president. You know, they are supporting your leadership endeavor. And it could be something that you had never thought about. But because somebody who is a role model affirms you and says, you can do this, then you go for it. In fact, that's what happened to me at the university. I think I had very low self-esteem joining the university, coming from the village, and all my life experiences up to that point, until somebody, actually a Christian Union leader, a fellow student, but was ahead of me by a year. I think so my involvement and participation talk about relationship enablers. We shall come back to those. And he invited me to lead and said, Nicholas, we think you can be part of this committee. I never aspired for it. And that was a milestone as far as my leadership development journey is concerned. I still look up to that moment. And you will have moments like that when you engage in a relationship process. And then, of course, at the end, we have the leadership development outcomes, which are categorized in competencies, the personal attributes, self-esteem, initiative, leadership awareness, or becoming aware that now I am a leader and having the identity of a leader. Many young people don't have that. I think I fall in that category. I did not see myself as a leader until I was invited to lead. And yet I was leading. I'm a firstborn. I was doing many leadership things at home, but nobody had helped me appreciate my leadership. So coming back to nurturing, you can structure the nurturing, or it can be relational. Structure means that you have to decide, you have to agree on certain things. You have to agree on time, for instance. You have to agree on, and since I was studying compassion youth, they write letters, but I think the principle is the same. You could decide that every month I am going to write a feedback note to my mentor. You have structured that. Or you could say every week I am going to journal my experiences. Now, journaling is one way to relate with yourself, so that helps you to nurture intrapersonal relationship, how you relate with yourself, because it helps you to reflect and learn about yourself. You could say every week I am going to journal. By the way, that is something I do a lot. I do a lot of journaling as well. Prayers, you might say every week I am going to pray with my mentor, or I am going to pray with my committee, or I am going to visit these key relationships that help me develop as a leader. Those are structured, and you have to be intentional about it. There are some things I have done over the years. There are some people I have asked directly to be my mentors, and I had to be intentional about visiting them and structure even those visits. Then other things are relational, like having trust. If you're going to benefit from a relationship, you have to trust the party that you're relating with. Interaction, you have to interact by talking specifically, pick a phone and call somebody and talk about your leadership journey. Getting close to somebody. You cannot benefit from a mentor, for instance, until you are in their space. So you can't say, Esther is my mentor, when you are not close to them. They don't know, you have not visited them. They don't know what's going on in your life. Generally, you don't know what is happening with them. You don't know their experiences. So that happens by getting close. That's the way we nurture. Having care and concern. This is mostly on those that are helping those who are developing, but on the other side as well, as a young person, as a young leader who is developing, if you demonstrate care and concern for the people that are helping you develop, for your leaders, for instance, it creates more opportunities for you to develop. That's how you get invited to lead, for example, because your memory is kept in the person that you have cared for and in the person that you're concerned about. And then ease of communication on the seniors that are helping the young people to develop, but also the emerging leaders can be intentional about easing the communication between themselves and the people that they are relating with. Make it easy for somebody to communicate with you, because then they can share the insights and the lessons and the experiences that you need for you to develop. I want to stop here. Sorry, I have overshot by 7 minutes. I want to stop here so that we can use the rest of the time for questions and answers and comments.
Thank you so
Over
much.
to you, Esther, to lead the discussion.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor. I am so blessed. I hope I've been taking notes. I hope everyone else has been taking notes like me. Yeah, so I'd like to just invite you, if you have some questions, some comments, please feel free to answer. Please feel free to ask. You can also type it in the chat if you are having trouble speaking.
Great, and I see a question in the chat. I will respond to it.
I'm going to call you out if you're not speaking. Let me just call some of you out. Yes, we can provide the slides. I don't know, I'll get back to you on that. However, in the meantime, I'm going to request, let me see. I'm going to request, yes, Deborah, by Nom Gasho, Deborah, tell us something that you have. Yes. Unmute and share your question.
Thank you so much. I was going to type, but let me ask. Yeah, thank you for the sharing, Doctor. So my question is, sometimes like you're a leader and you try to create some like good relationships with the people you're leading and maybe the top management, but then you realize that they are taking you for granted. They are taking your calmness. They actually don't give it, they don't think about it. So for example, you need a certain thing as students, and me as a leader, I am trying to talk to the top management. By the way, I am Bainom Gasho Deborah, a student at Mbara University of Science and Technology. So as a leader, you try to approach the top management for like you want something. You be patient enough, but they still don't want to like listen or even give in a hand, like help, do anything about it. And then you think about maybe striking, but you actually realize that striking will not maybe add anything. So, okay, how best can I like maybe convince them, or what type of a relationship am I supposed to have for me to get what I want from the, for example, top management? Because when you don't get it, remember the students are all on your head thinking you're not doing anything, and yet you're actually doing something, but the top management is not responding, like giving a positive feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Deborah. That was Deborah. Yes. Thank you, Deborah. That is a real that is a real experience, and it's a difficult one. But it is possible to navigate, and I want to encourage you that you will get there. You will be successful, and you will lead. What I hear from your experience takes me back to the thoughts that I shared around emotional intelligence, particularly self-awareness. And from your comment, I can tell that you are aware. You are aware, for instance, that you are calm, and you said, to quote your words, that when you are calm, then people take you for granted. So I can begin to imagine, okay, that you are aware, so you are a calm person. That's part of your personality. You're not going to change that. And then you are also aware of who needs to move things. In this case, senior management. You mentioned senior management. So the challenge that I put to you is for you to grow more, like to ask yourself, what is it about my personality that people are taking for granted? And what can I do about that? Because we can't change who we are. And by the way, there is no bad personality. They should never deceive you. All personalities are good because they are created by God that way, and He has a purpose why He created you as a calm person. And it does not, and you are created to lead with your personality. So what self-awareness then does, and you can now join that with because of becoming aware of how your personality impacts the way you achieve leadership results. In this case, getting things done by management. Then you need to develop some social skills and apply them. One of the tips that I could give is, I believe senior management has more than one person. So on that management team, there's you connect, I believe you connect with different people differently at different levels. So I would encourage you, first of all, to not be intimidated by people. You can still be firm even in your calmness, so, and calmness does not mean weakness. So you can still be firm on your purposes. You know your vision, you know what you want to achieve, you know the results that you want to achieve, and you know the people that can make things happen. So the social skills, therefore, involve you probably building a stronger relationship with some members of the management team that you connect with maybe more easily, and then you can get those, you can work through those to help the entire management make the decision that you need for you to be able to succeed in your student leadership roles. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I hear. I hear that there is something that about your personality which probably people are taking for granted, maybe because they don't understand you. So they also need growth at their level to know who you are and how you lead. But as leaders, we don't have much time to control how other people we don't have much time to wait for people to first understand us, especially when we need results and they are within a time limit. If you're a student leader, I'm sure you have, and you on the student guild, for example, you have only 1 year to achieve certain results. So you can't wait, and it takes time for people to get to know you. So I think I would suggest that you get intentional about building the relationships between you and the people who move things, starting with those that you connect with more easily than others. I hope that helps. There was a question about courtesy. Somebody wanted me to say more about courtesy. Courtesy really is about, and this is about relating with people. So politeness, those are some of the synonyms or the other words that come to mind. You know, your attitude towards other people, respectful of everybody, not loading it over or brushing off some people, you know, treating everyone with dignity and respect, you know. So that's what I meant by courtesy. Yes. Other questions? Or even comments. I'm sure you have ideas, thoughts that came to mind as I shared, which you can still use. Let me check.
Yes, we can take maybe 2 questions, and then we can see what to do. I could ask, for example, me, I have a question. I have some few questions that I can ask on other people's behalf, and they tell us. So for example, emotional intelligence, how do you develop it? Maybe, I don't know if the students already